Hey, thanks for joining me on this edition of the podcast. I'm your host, Jason Brown, the co founder of SERPWoo and inventor of SERP tracking. And in today's video, I wanted to go over the top pay per click platforms to start running your business or campaigns on. What's been the most effective, what works, what doesn't work, why I think they worked or didn't work. And this covers, a full 23 plus years that I've been running pay per click ads. And it's going to focus specifically on B2B. I will cover some B2C topics and some examples within this whole analysis, but this is largely based on some B2B experience. And the reason why I'm doing that is I see a lot of YouTube tutorials, a lot of talk about what works when you're doing lead gen, affiliate, business to consumer type of activities, but hardly ever B2B. So I wanted to primarily focus this video on B2B. I will touch on B2C in some of these examples and briefly go over what works, what doesn't work, what the 80/20 is for pay per click campaigns. And again, this is based on more than 2 decades worth of experience. So let's jump right into it. So let's talk about LinkedIn. Naturally, everybody thinks that LinkedIn is the hottest thing when it comes to B2B. And I'm going to tell you, in my experience, it hasn't been. That's not throwing any shade on LinkedIn, but I've ran a ton of pay per click campaigns through LinkedIn across many different verticals, across many different types of campaigns, ranging from e-commerce direct ROAS to lead generation, affiliate campaigns across many different verticals. I spent a lot of money at LinkedIn. Historically, LinkedIn just never worked for any of these companies. The one example that I did get LinkedIn to work was when I was selected to run campaigns for Alibaba, for AliExpress, essentially the exact same company. And this was a move where they wanted to get more US based or North American based wholesalers actually on their marketplace. So, if you know anything about this company, a lot of their sellers for years prior were all Asian based. And when they decided to make a move into North America and bring more of those wholesalers and distributors onto the marketplace, I was selected to run that campaign. And I was able to build a lead generation campaign that really worked out well for them. They had prior had some campaigns running for them that were getting very dismal results. And I'll be real honest, when I started running this campaign for them, I actually thought to myself, this isn't going to work out too well because I had always known of LinkedIn not producing good results for other clients. Definitely not any of the campaigns that I ran. Typically, LinkedIn was very limited in options. They do not have the options that, say, Google Ads or Facebook will give you when it comes to targeting. And the clicks were very expensive compared to those other platforms as well. So I actually went into this thinking it wasn't going to do well, and it did work very well. However, this company had something set up that a lot of clients and other companies didn't have. They definitely had a free resource that was given to these North American sellers and distributors. They had a call center where they could actually talk to these people and sell them and convert them into, past a lead and actually get these people signed up. And the whole process was very well thought out and well done. So, if you're looking to LinkedIn for pay per click, I would definitely say high budget. You've got to have a very thorough funnel and close process. And if you're just looking to dabble into things or get started, LinkedIn's not the place. Not for pay per click ads. The targeting options are just not there. Uh, the the marketing is expensive, and if you don't have a way to close these people or have a proper funnel, it's just not going to work out for you. Again, LinkedIn might be something later down the road. Once you're established, once you have a good funnel, once you have a good way to close people, and you've got some good metrics behind you and a landing page that is already well designed and proven. But starting out, I would not recommend LinkedIn. Again, no hate for LinkedIn or their paid traffic, but it's definitely not something where I would suggest that you start out or spend a lot of money unless you have things really nailed down and honed in and well oiled. So another one I've got for you is radio ads. Now, I've done radio ads quite a few ways. I've done traditional radio where you do an insertion order with companies like Clear Channel or iHeartRadio, but I've also done them as pay per click ads. And one of the networks you can do this is actually Spotify. Now, I've actually also done it years ago with Pandora, but recently with Spotify, a long time ago with Pandora, and kind of in between those times and recent traditional radio advertising. Now with Spotify, you can actually build a ad and have a radio or audio ad attached to that, and upload your logo and some text, and you're off to the races with two options at Spotify. One, which basically sounds like a radio ad where you would do an insertion order, and the second one shows up on desktop um, interfaces with the Spotify interface program when people have that up on their desktop, and they'll see the ad there. Very similar to maybe what a display ad would have been on Google, with a responsive ad or an image ad years ago. It looks very similar to that, and you can kind of set these genres. One of the genres of music that you can actually pick is like podcast or business radio, which are very similar. But in all instances of radio, whether it was insertion order radio, a traditional radio ad, or if it was pay per click, like I just mentioned with Pandora or Spotify, it doesn't work. I've never got any of these ads to work. They're very hard to track. They will promise the moon to you, and it's the tracking on these are difficult. The return on these are very low, if basically no return at all. And I'm not even talking about breaking even or slightly losing. I'm meaning like you can spend thousands of dollars on this and not even get a conversion. And I've tried to track these with a special URL that only these people can get to. I've tried it with coupon codes that are specific to that channel or specific to that ad itself when trying to split test ads or split test options within that advertising platform. It essentially, unless you're trying to do a branding play, direct performance, be it B2B, B2C, lead gen, affiliate, e-commerce, it is just not there. At least with any of the online options. Maybe you can find a deal working one to one where it's a lot cheaper and you can get a lot of airplay or a lot of advertising and make it work out. A special deal that way and negotiate something. But if you're going to these platforms and doing self serve, I have never got any of this radio advertising type stuff to work with any company, any industry, or any type of setup and tracking at all. It's just not there, and I don't want to dog on Spotify or on radio. I'm sure there's certain people out there that can make it work, but if you're really looking at performance, direct advertising, ROAS based stuff, you're just not going to find it. Maybe it's something that you can do if you're measuring by LTV or branding, but I've literally tried every option. I've tried advertising nationwide. I've tried advertising to just a city. I've even tried to do branding lifts where we just advertise to our three largest cities and then measure the traffic gained from that across the nationwide geographic area, and didn't even see a brand lift. So it's quite funny. If there's one that I could tell you to stay away from, unless you are exhausting every option in scaling, it would be to stay away from radio, stay away from Pandora, Spotify, insertion orders. Unless you've got this crazy deal, I would stay away from it. Okay, TikTok. So this one is very hot right now. TikTok is very hit or miss. And I can definitely tell you, if you get this right, you'll definitely be in the money. If you've got a B2B service, this is going to be very hard. Now, I know that there's an argument out there that, the people for B2B that you would be targeting, they're consumers too. They're people also. But I'm telling you right now that if you've got a B2B service, TikTok is going to be kind of hard again, unless you've got some kind of branding angle and can measure lifetime value and you're looking for that type of play with branding, you know, great. If you're looking for direct performance though, because you're an affiliate or you're measured in ROAS for your B2B, it's going to be kind of hard. Um, Again, it's hit and miss. Every brand is going to be different, but I'm going to tell you, TikTok is hot. TikTok has the views, they have the audience, but it's going to be hit or miss. They don't quite have the targeting options that Google or Facebook had, but they definitely have the traffic. It's definitely priced cheap, so if you can make it work, it's going to be great for you. Now, here's what's different about TikTok ads. If you're again direct performance, ROAS based, maybe you come from strong Google or strong Facebook background, lookalike audiences, similar audiences, custom audiences. TikTok does have a way for you to upload audiences, but as of right now, we're talking March 21st, 2022. You're not going to upload email addresses. You have to upload this hashed mobile ID number. Most of you are not going to have this. Almost everybody has a way to get like a list of email subscribers and upload them. Not too many people are going to have this hashed version of mobile IDs. Maybe you can get that from your tech team or for somebody else in your analytics chain at work, but most of you are not going to have this. If you do, great. But a lot of marketers that want to do custom audiences or lookalikes, fooling with TikTok's limited targeting selections. Again, limited compared to, say, Google or Facebook. You're not going to be able to do that off the bat. So you might be thinking, hey, I'll just place the pixel, the TikTok pixel on my website, and I'll just season that pixel like I did with Google or Facebook. It's not going to work like that either, folks. Yes, you do get a pixel, and Facebook will count events to that pixel, like a page view, or maybe a specific page view, like on a thank you page after an e-commerce conversion. Maybe other pages as well, like add to cart, but it's not the thank you page. Maybe you wanted to do cart abandons. You would set that up. You can definitely do that in TikTok, but here's the thing: TikTok is only going to count traffic from TikTok. So with Facebook, you can put a pixel on your website. With Google, you can put a pixel on your website, and any traffic that comes into that website that pixel fires on, they're going to record that event on that pixel. Essentially, you can put your Facebook pixel on your website, not have any Facebook traffic. Let's just assume it's all SEO or email traffic that you're generating. And anything that makes that event happen gets built up as an audience within Facebook. And then that way you can later go and say, I want to build a similar audience or a lookalike to that traffic that Facebook recorded for that pixel for that event. TikTok, it's only going to count TikTok traffic. So you might be getting a ton of traffic from your website that is email and SEO and think, hey, I'm going to put the TikTok pixel on here and I'm going to record events that are my thank you page after conversion, or maybe add to cart so that I can do abandons later. And I'll just season this TikTok pixel the same way. It's not going to happen. You have to drive TikTok traffic to it. And only once you start driving TikTok traffic to it will it start looking at those events and actions and actually start to build up that audience. And here's the thing, it's not an accurate count either. Um, I've had TikTok ads, I've got organic TikTok traffic, meaning non paid. And I go and check these stats, and I know that we've had this many people hit that page from TikTok. And I go look at that audience for that event that we're supposed to hit that page and build up that audience, and it does not match up. Um, and listen, I've done this for a long time, so I know my code's accurate also. So that's definitely been tested and looked at. But TikTok is definitely a tough nut to crack. If you can get it to crack, the world's going to be your oyster. But for most people, especially new people or people looking to get the 80/20 as far as, what's really working, let's do this. I'm not saying people who are lazy that don't want to work on something, but if you're looking for something, hey, let's implement this today and see results 30 days from now, TikTok's probably not going to be your platform. I'm definitely going to put TikTok up to more of an advanced level marketer. Somebody that's already got stuff working, a landing page that's working, they've got other tactics working, and they're looking to expand. That's where I would put TikTok. I wouldn't put TikTok on a beginner's level just because of those considerations. So let's talk native ads. This is one that's a little bit tricky too. If you can crack it, you're definitely going to do well. Most people not going to get this right. With native ads, I'm looking at Yahoo Gemini, basically looking at Taboola, Outbrain. There's several other companies that fit into this mix. Mostly the ads and companies that I see that have this working are going to be e-commerce companies. There are some lead gen that definitely do work in this area, but it's dominated largely, and I mean it, as far as ads that I see over and over again, campaigns that I've managed that have worked, it's going to be e-commerce. And a lot of that kind of hinges on like the drop ship e-commerce. I'm not talking about AliExpress where, it's going to take 30 days for post mail to come over. But it's going to be drop ship e-commerce or some kind of tech e-commerce, something that's cheap and can build some kind of excitement around it. And a lot of it's promoted through some kind of a listicle. And what I mean is it's going to be ads that say something like the top 10 gadgets for seniors or the top reasons why Kentucky homeowners are, doing well with solar. And you click over to that page and it's like the top 10 gadgets for seniors for Christmas or 10 reasons why people in Kentucky are getting cheap rates on solar and why you need to get it. And then it gets funneled into like a solar lead gen. But that's what I largely see working there. I'm not seeing very many B2B stuff working there. Uh, Again, this is pretty tough. I've seen a lot of companies try. I see a lot of companies get mixed success. I do see some companies that break even, which is always a great sign. If you can break even, you're just basically a few tweaks away from being profitable. But the companies that seem to really dive into this and really show up day in and day out, or campaigns that I've seen have worked, have been B2C, and they've largely been some kind of commerce based or generic lead gen based. And by generic, I mean insurance, solar, financial like mortgage, very broad appeal lead gen. And some kind of e-commerce based that looks largely drop ship. Again, not drop ship from Asia, but maybe drop ship from some warehouses here in North America. Not saying that you can't get drop ship from Asia to work. I'm just telling you from what I've seen that has largely worked. All right, let's talk about pop traffic. So pop is, pop under, pop over. It kind of looks like most people think they've got spyware installed, but this is essentially traffic that you buy that pops up on people's computers as they're browsing during the day. And this is really one of my favorite types of traffic. I'm not saying it's the most return on advertising spend positive, or the most profitable, but it is one of my favorite types of traffic because of all the things that you can do with it. And technically, you can do similar things on other traffic sources, but pop traffic is one of those that, if you're really creative and really think things through, there's a ton of stuff that you can do on these networks. And a lot of it is still the Wild West. So I'm not going to out anything too outrageous, but let me touch on the cores here. Most of the offers that I see do well on these networks are, again, very broad lead gen. We're talking insurance, financial, sweepstakes, games, so like downloads for games, very generic e-commerce. Again, think about like the listicle type stuff that I mentioned earlier for native, those types of offers where, you would do, the top 10 Christmas gifts for seniors or something similar to that. That's what I see really working on most of these networks. However, if you're very creative, you can definitely find uses for this type of traffic that go outside of that. Maybe some that wouldn't help a B2B brand in general, but if you're an affiliate marketer, if you're an opportunist, it's ripe. It's definitely ripe. One of the ways, and I won't get into a lot of these because I'm definitely not going to out stuff specifically, but one of the ways that you could use this potentially for a B2B business that maybe is new, doesn't have a lot of Google data yet, maybe their pixel isn't seasoned that much at Facebook or at Google yet. You're running Google and Facebook traffic, and the keywords you're bidding on or the budget that you have hasn't allowed you to build up like a good audience, at least not an audience that Facebook or Google can build up a similar to or lookalike audience for. Well, one of the things that you could do with pop traffic, and again, this is just an idea, something I've definitely done, so I know it works, is you can essentially go to your pop traffic source and put in your competitors' URLs. Now, depending on what niche you're in, what your business in, you'll get different mileage out of this. But as those people browse to your competitors' websites during the day and your ad now pops up, a lot of times what your ad is your landing page URL that you put in. So this could be your homepage. It could be a specific URL on your website that nobody else can get to unless they were on this pop traffic and hit your competitor, which is what I recommend you do. Then that URL is going to come up, and that URL can have your Facebook and Google pixel on it. And now your Google and Facebook pixel is firing for very cheap cost. I mean, we're talking about pennies for this type of exposure. So if you don't have very much SEO traffic or organic social or paid from Google and Facebook yet, this is a way that you can get your pixel firing to relevant traffic who are looking at the exact same products or similar products at your competitors. And now your pixels are getting traffic to them at Google and Facebook very cheaply. And at some point, hopefully, you can go back to Google and Facebook and say, I want to build an audience similar to the traffic that visited this specific URL that nobody else could get to except for that pop traffic that had visited a competitor. And hopefully that can be like your first main audience to get things rolling if prior to that everything had been low traffic. Again, that's just one idea. That's barely even looking at the iceberg. That's barely scratching what you can do with pop traffic. So I'm not going to get into other things I know about pop traffic, but pop traffic is definitely interesting. It's usually a source that a beginner can get into quite easily. It's one that's open for all kinds of ideas if you're creative, and definitely one that I like. If you're looking for just plain vanilla and you're not creative, you're really going to have to stick with lead gen and generic e-commerce. I have seen other things work, but those other things are for more advanced marketers. But if you're creative, if you can think out of the box, pop traffic is something that can work B2B, B2C for almost any industry if you just think outside the box. So let's talk about Facebook and Instagram. Since this is largely the same advertising network, I group them in as the exact same platform. Don't give me any hate on it. You access the ads from Facebook for both. But this used to be one of my favorite traffic sources. It still kind of is one of my favorites. It's definitely not the favorite. Not for B2B. It's really not my favorite for B2C anymore. But Facebook, you can get almost anything to work on Facebook. Um, it's not limited in targeting options. It has a lot of targeting options. Those are slowly being eroded away and removed as time goes on. Um, and if you can get Facebook to work, there's a lot of money in Facebook. Facebook was the first ads platform that personally I had my first seven-figure payday with on my own money. Um, it was just one of those platforms that was just crazy, stupid, cheap, very many options, great look-alike audience building. Um, it had everything going for it. And one of the reasons why it's not my favorite right now is because of privacy, tracking, and because of the constant removal of targeting options. So, just to give you some backstory, iOS 14 from Apple introduced basically privacy settings that not a lot of Apple users opted into. That specifically hurt Facebook. Now, it did hurt other programs, but on Facebook, it was huge. And all of their numbers that are reported in Facebook's interface, if you were to go into Facebook ads and look at your interface and you relied on those numbers for your data as far as like ROAS, they're going to be majorly off, um, which has sent people to using third party trackers, specific third party trackers, not just Google Analytics, which you can do with Google Analytics. But many people have gone to having to use very expensive third party tools now, like Hyros or Wicked Reports, and those have mixed success as well. Essentially, most of the profitability at Facebook using plain vanilla Facebook settings just do not work for most advertisers now. And even if you can get past that, a lot of the profitability, especially for B2B, has vanished from Facebook as well. Also, certain people that advertise certain products, they are finding their targeting removed. One such audience or advertisers, I should say, has anybody that runs anything political. I run a lot of political ads for different reasons, either for political members or for companies that specialize in political merchandise, whether that be Democrat focused or Republican focused here in the United States. We're talking about things like hats and T-shirts and all kinds of other political type merchandise. Those advertisers got hurt really bad at Facebook, and this all happened, at least for our accounts, on March 17th, where essentially Facebook removed any interest targeting that had a sensitive or political nature to it. So, just to give you an example, if I wanted to run ads to people that had an interest in Donald Trump or Joe Biden or their family members or right wing or left wing news channels, political commentators, people who are associated with that, like anybody in the political in those political parties, like anybody who might be expressed as conservative. You cannot select that targeting anymore in Facebook, and it's much more than political. It's anything deemed sensitive. So this would be outside of political. So if you wanted to target people because you know that they identify as Jewish or have some type of religious ideology that is similar to Jewish people. And again, I'm just picking Jewish just because I know that that was one of them. You're not able to advertise to those people. And it goes past even political and religious. I mean, this has been going on for a long time at Facebook where certain targeting options are getting removed. It's getting harder and harder to specifically hone in on people at Facebook. Now, if you've got very general, broad offers, that might not be a problem to you. But for people who are B2C or B2B or e commerce or want specific lead gen, maybe they're building up audiences, it has become very difficult for certain advertisers to target at Facebook. The cost of the traffic is continually going up at Facebook. The tracking, your metrics, any of your performance data is jacked up at Facebook, having you to rely on third parties to be able to track for you, and even then, it's not accurate. And just the way that they track it, even if I were to compare, say, Google Ads to Facebook, I'm going to know that my Google ads are going to be either first click or last click, depending how I set the conversion event up. And I know that in Google Analytics, it's going to be last click primarily. So if I've got a first click attribution at Google Ads and a last click at Google Analytics, I can go back and forth and know how those two systems recorded that click and why they do it. At Facebook, you really do not know. Facebook is very greedy with their conversion attribution, and they will tell you that you've had 30 conversions and you've brought in all this revenue. When in fact, when you go to Google Analytics or another third party tracker, it's not the case. And it doesn't matter if you select last click or first click at Google Analytics as far as your attribution. It's nowhere near what Facebook is claiming. Facebook is very greedy. Even if you set the conversion event or conversion settings in the ad set to be 1 day click or 7 day click, you haven't selected any view to be counted, Facebook is still doing it. Facebook is going to basically say, we think this ad that we shown somebody or they clicked, even if it's 1 day or 7 day and it's just click only, we believe that you've got this revenue, or we help contribute to that revenue, and we're putting that in your interface for your reports. And it's just not true. And there is so many people having problems with that. If you can get past the reports in Facebook being horribly wrong, if you can get past the fact that maybe certain interest groups you can no longer target, and if you can get past the rising cost of Facebook, and if you can also get past something I haven't mentioned yet, people randomly getting banned for legit accounts. I've seen this happen many times in the past 3 years, people getting banned legitimately, and you not having access to a rep anymore at Facebook, and having to wait days and days and days in a queue and getting canned responses. If you can put up with all that and make it profitable, Facebook is going to be great for you. But for everybody else out there that needs like a support rep, they don't want to be banned, even if it's a mistake that Google fixes, 30 days later. If you don't mind waiting for help forever, if you don't mind rising cost, if you don't mind not being able to target as much as you used to, or drill down into your targeting, and if you don't mind all of your metrics being messed up in Facebook, you're going to have to rely on Hyros or Wicked Reports or Google Analytics, then Facebook is great for you. And for all of you that say, hey, I'm fine with the data in Facebook not being correct, the big problem is this: when Facebook learns off that incorrect data, because they're using their data to learn on, you're going to get even worse results. So if Facebook thinks you're getting all these conversions or no conversions, either way on the spectrum, if they think you're getting no conversions or a lot of conversions, and that they're helping you with a lot of revenue or not helping you, that affects the machine learning, the algorithm of Facebook trying to hit your goal. So if you had selected getting conversions was your goal, and you've got it set to a minimum ROAS, if that data is wrong, it's going to learn on that incorrect data and continue giving you traffic that just doesn't work. And that's why, Facebook used to be my favorite platform. It still is under circumstances. And why, if you can get it to work, it's going to be great. If not, I would tell you to maybe stay away from that for at least right now. And now we get to my favorite ads to run, and that's going to be paid search, specifically Google ads. There's a lot of good things about Microsoft. Those are the two dominant players. I probably wouldn't get outside of either one of those two for paid search ads. But the Microsoft, if you can get it to work, um, the return is usually really good. The traffic is cheaper, but a lot of the traffic is really bad. If you go outside of search with Microsoft, talking about display, shopping, any of their beta programs, things that they're testing, like when you could import your Facebook ads into your Microsoft account, stuff like that, it just never works out. Quality is usually horrible. I've seen that as far back as 2008, where the quality outside of search campaigns at Microsoft have just been really bad. If you stick to search, though, and you stick to just regular search ads, usually the quality is good at Microsoft. The traffic is cheap, so the return is really good, especially for B2B and B2C, for lead generation also. But once you get past that, it's very hard to scale because the traffic is not there at Microsoft. So you might be in a position where you say, hey, I'm going to start at Microsoft, get things tweaked and dialed in, and then expand into Google. But if you're at Google and you think going to Microsoft is going to help you expand, it's typically not going to do that because the traffic, the volume of traffic is just not there. So usually I tell people, just go straight to Google Ads, get started there, get that working. Because once it works, the traffic quality is good. It's been good for all types of campaigns I've set up. That includes display campaigns, search campaigns, video campaigns, discovery campaigns, performance max campaigns. Literally, just about any campaign I've set up, I've gotten to work at Google. The quality has been good. Price fluctuates depending on the business. They've got a ton of targeting options that you can expand to. I mean, literally, I would almost bet that you could almost not run out of campaign ideas at Google alone when you include all of the campaign types, all of the ad types, all of the targeting options. I mean, you could literally run and create campaigns for a full year before, you would have to circle back and start questioning, I've already done this. I mean, you've got that many types of options at Google alone. So typically, especially, for B2B campaigns, I tell people go to Google Ads first. You can get started there. You can tweak, you can build there, and you can expand there. And typically use that as your only traffic source until you exhaust all of the options at Google, and then maybe try Microsoft for a little bit more revenue, and then getting into potentially Facebook if that fits, and then getting into native or pop or things like TikTok, expanding in that direction. But with Google, especially with paid search, it's going to be your best option. I wouldn't even think about starting somewhere else first unless your business just specifically fit TikTok. If you cannot get it to work with paid search at Google, I kind of question if you're going to get it to work anywhere. Now, I do know there are some exceptions. Maybe Google search traffic is too expensive for certain lead gen campaigns, maybe for certain drop shipping or e-commerce campaigns it's too expensive or too competitive, and maybe that's why you started somewhere else first. But I would almost recommend you go back to Google search and make it work there. Maybe the reason why it's not working is because you're an affiliate and you're just relying on the revenue from that offer only. You're throwing up a landing page, or you're using um, the landing page given to you, and you're just sending traffic straight to that brand, and you're not collecting any of your own data like the email or the pixel. And that's the only offer that you're sending to. And maybe you pay $5 for traffic and you're only getting two from the affiliate offer. Maybe to get that to work, you should have collected an email, placed your own pixel on your own page, ran traffic to that page, maybe ran two or three offers, and maybe at the end of that, you're getting paid $6 for that $5 of traffic, and you've got your own data, either in an email list or in a pixel that you can continue monetizing. But based on that idea and that thought, that's why I would tell you to stick with and start at Google Ads. Again, I know there's exceptions to this that maybe because of your industry is banned or not welcome at Google, you're having to go somewhere else. But outside of that, Google Ads traffic is where I would tell you to start, especially with B2B. Um, you know, all of the campaign types I've been able to get work. It's not just paid search with keywords. It's been retargeting. It's been display campaigns. It's been audience based campaigns. It's been lookalikes and custom audiences. It's been discovery ads. It's been YouTube video ads. It's just been all across the gamut. Even their newest setting for Performance Max, I've gotten to work. Past that, I've gotten standard ads to work when we used to be able to run standard ads, expanded ads, responsive ads, all of the video type ads, be it in stream, be it responsive, be it skippable, be it like the carousel type of ad option that YouTube has as well. I've had static image banners on display work. I've had text ads on display work. I've had responsive ads on display work. I mean, literally, I've had everything work at Google to some extent, obviously. And when you match up all of the targeting options, like I want to target people that have searched this keyword that also fit this audience, and they've done that within this certain time frame, Google is really hard to beat. And yes, the traffic might be more expensive than, say, pop traffic or even TikTok. Uh, if the litmus test is if you cannot get it to work at Google, you're more than likely, again, I know there's exceptions, you're more than likely 90% of the time not going to get it to work anywhere else. Again, no hate mail for this. Please don't send it to me. I know that there are exceptions. I'm trying to reach the broad mass here, though. So if you're in B2B, whether it's lead gen, whether it's e-commerce, yes, there is e-commerce for B2B. Whether you're looking at ROAS, whether you're looking at brand exposure, Google and search traffic is really hard to beat right now. The sad thing is Google's really wanting to take away a lot of the manual lever pulling and tweaking and optimization in favor of their smart campaigns, in favor of Performance Max, which kind of basically works as a smart campaign. But if you can get set up now and take advantage of these campaigns and this traffic, and maybe building up an email database and the history that you can build up with Google Ads to keep that machine learning and algorithm pumping out new customers for you, it's definitely where I would tell you to spend your time, spend your money, and where I would start first. If at some point you have exhausted all of your available budget and targeting at Google and not made it work, I would probably tell you to analyze your funnel, to analyze your business before just jumping over to Pop or TikTok or Facebook or Native or any of these other traffic platforms. If you cannot get it to work at Google, maybe try Microsoft. And, it's a little bit less expensive there. The return is usually a little bit better. And if at that point you cannot get it to work at Microsoft, I would really tell you to analyze that business. See what you can change to get more revenue or more conversions out of that business, out of that funnel. And at that point, retry search traffic. And if it does not work that time, maybe consider TikTok or Facebook. Maybe consider something that's interruption based, like Pop, Native, TikTok, Facebook Social, and get away from search. And then if you can't get it to work there, it definitely is your business model. It's either the offer, the funnel, something there that you're missing to get it to work. But if I was new, or if I was struggling and wondering if my marketers are doing everything they can, if I was new and wondering where I needed to start, this is exactly what I would do for any business, B2B or B2C, in any industry and any type, whether it was lead gen or e-commerce or something else. This is how I would start, and this is what I would look at. If your marketers that you have on your team are crushing it at Google, um, I wouldn't be too particular on stressing them try TikTok or Facebook or Taboola. I mean, I would want them to try it, but if it doesn't work, it's probably not your marketer's fault. If they're getting it to work at Google and Microsoft and or either one of those, and it's not working at another platform, it's definitely probably not your marketers. It's probably because that's how those platforms are set up. B2B at a lot of these other platforms is almost impossible. Again, it does depend on your business, it does depend on your offer, and everybody's mileage will be different. But even a B2B powerhouse like LinkedIn, it doesn't mean it's going to go over well, especially if you're looking at that marketing as direct performance, as something that's entirely ROAS based and not lifetime value. It's going to be different. It's not going to always work. Now, if you're looking at things as branding plays and lifetime values, a lot of the information I just gave you is not going to be applicable. If you're in B2C, some of the stuff that I just said is not going to be applicable. Some of it will be. I would still have you start at Google though. And once you can get it perfected with search traffic, then I would start expanding out little by little into other platforms. But that's my advice. How I would look at scaling B2B campaigns or starting out, even if it's B2C. And that's been my experience with pay per click in general for over 20 years, about where I start, what generally works, what doesn't work. Again, you will have to be testing these things, but if I was to give you a roadmap of starting out, or where I would build out first before taking my next steps, it would definitely be paid search. It would be Google and or Microsoft. Past that, it would be Facebook. Past that, it would be pop traffic. Past that, it would be native. After native and testing native, I would probably give a look at TikTok and LinkedIn. Again, there's going to be some special circumstances there, but that's kind of where I would start and how I would scale out in steps in those order. But definitely you're going to have things locked in and tight once you get past search traffic, because with search traffic, these people are looking, if you're betting on the right keywords, they're looking for what you already sell. They're looking for your brand already. It should be a slam dunk. If you've got some holes in your bucket, which basically means, you've got some problems with your funnel, you've got some problems with your offer, you're going to at least see some success with search. If you've got those problems and you go right to paid social, you might not see anything at all, not even any success, not even a break even, not even a slight losing, not even one conversion. So if you can get it slam dunked on search, you can usually expand out and get a slam dunk elsewhere. There's still going to be some work, there's still going to be some tweaking, but that's how I would set it up. Because the last thing you want to do is have a funnel that isn't quite there, an offer that isn't quite there, and start running paid social traffic, say at TikTok, and realize you've spent $6,000 with no conversions, and wondering, is it TikTok? Is it my funnel? Is it my offer? Is it something else? Did I select the wrong settings in the campaigns at TikTok? You want to remove all of that doubt. And starting with search traffic can help get you there and get you to the right place to expand. So I hope this video has helped. I'll catch you on the next video. Please like, subscribe, and share. And let me know in the comments if I've missed anything or what you want to see next. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.